In 1998, deep in the limestone hills of Portugal's Lapedo Valley, archaeologists brushed away 30,000 years of soil and silence and uncovered a secret that would shake the very roots of what we thought it meant to be human. It wasn't a full-grown warrior or a decorated elder. It was a child with a soft, sloping chin and hauntingly familiar eyes. But its legs, skull, and proportions whispered of something ancient, something not quite Homo sapiens. This child wasn't just buried. It was waiting. In 1998, deep in Portugal's Lapedo Valley, a routine excavation nearly erased a discovery that would forever change our understanding of human history. Earth movers, clearing land for a road, came just 5 centimeters from destroying a burial site. When the machine's blade struck bone, the past bled into the present. The skeleton, though partially damaged, was over 90% intact, a rare find in prehistoric archaeology. The remains were transferred to the National Museum in Lisbon for analysis, and what researchers uncovered would spark a quiet revolution in the field. The child's bones presented an astonishing anomaly. Its skull and jaw had modern human traits, but its legs and proportions were strikingly Neanderthal. The child, aged around 4 at the time of death, was a hybrid, something once thought impossible. This discovery shattered long-standing beliefs that Homo sapiens and Neanderthals never interbred. The Lapedo child became a testament to our intertwined past, forcing a reevaluation of the clear lines that separated human species and revealing the deep connections we share with our ancient cousins. When researchers first examined the Lapedo child, they found a remarkable mix of traits that defied expectations. From the neck up, it was unmistakably Homo sapiens, a rounded skull, prominent chin, and typical human proportions. But as they moved downward, things grew stranger. The child's legs were short, bowed, and stocky, features that resembled Neanderthal traits more than modern human ones. The limb proportions were also atypical for a modern child, leaning toward Neanderthal characteristics. Even the teeth revealed a mystery. Some traits were undeniably human, while others were distinctly not. This child, about 4 years old at death, seemed to embody both species. The term for this? A hybrid. But the reality was much more profound. This discovery shattered the clear-cut boundaries between species that scientists once believed existed. The Lapedo child wasn't just an anomaly, it was a living example of how Homo sapiens and Neanderthals intermingled in ways that were once thought impossible. It revealed the blurred lines of human evolution, challenging what we thought we knew about our ancient ancestors. In the late 1990s, the idea that Neanderthals and modern humans interbred was considered almost taboo within the scientific community. Most anthropologists adhered to the replacement theory, which held that Homo sapiens had spread out from Africa, driven other hominins like Neanderthals to extinction, and left no room for interbreeding. To suggest that these ancient species had mated and produced viable offspring was seen as professional heresy. The prevailing narrative was that Homo sapiens were the sole survivors in a brutal evolutionary competition. Then came the Lapedo Childa discovery that would challenge everything. This wasn't a fragment or an isolated jawbone open to interpretation. This was a complete skeleton, found intact and undeniable. Its hybrid features modern human traits combined with Neanderthal characteristics made it clear that the child was not simply a product of chance or mutation. It was evidence that the two species had shared more than just space, they had shared genes. The Lapedo child forced scientists to confront an uncomfortable truth. Neanderthals and Homo sapiens didn't just coexist, they interbred, and their offspring lived on. What had once been dismissed as fringe science was now an undeniable fact. This discovery opened the door to a deeper, more complex narrative of human evolution, one that embraced connection over competition. Genetic and archaeological evidence now suggests that modern humans and Neanderthals overlapped for thousands of years, particularly in areas like Iberia, where Neanderthals survived long after they disappeared elsewhere in Europe. For years, scientists believed that Neanderthals went extinct around 40,000 years ago, leaving Homo sapiens as the sole survivors. However, the discovery of the Lapedo child, dated to around 24,500 years ago, long after Neanderthals were thought to be Gonarize's new possibilities. This child's burial challenges the established timeline and suggests one of two things. Either Neanderthals persisted longer than believed, or their genes became embedded in human populations through widespread interbreeding. Both scenarios show a crucial shift in understanding. The boundaries separating our species were not as clear-cut as once thought. Instead of a brutal extinction, there was likely a blending of two worlds, with Neanderthals contributing to the genetic legacy of modern humans. The walls between us and our ancient cousins are crumbling, reshaping the way we think about human evolution. Initially, many researchers dismissed the discovery of the Lapedo child as a rare genetic anomaly, an isolated instance of interbreeding between Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. It seemed too unlikely to be part of a broader pattern. But as DNA studies advanced in the 2000s and 2010s, something remarkable happened. Scientists began identifying traces of Neanderthal DNA in modern human genomes, particularly in non-African populations. What had once been considered fringe science had now become a widely accepted fact. Today, it's known that all non-African humans carry between 2 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. But this figure only scratches the surface. When scientists look deeper, they find that up to 50 to 70% of the Neanderthal genome still survive scattered across all of us. This doesn't mean that Neanderthals were wiped out or disappeared into the past. It means that instead of vanishing completely, their genetic legacy lived on through interbreeding. We didn't eradicate them. We absorbed them into our own genetic makeup, incorporating them into the very fabric of who we are. The evidence now is undeniable. The lines between species weren't as sharp as we once thought. Neanderthals are still with us, embedded in our biology, shaping who we are today. For decades, popular culture depicted Neanderthals as dim-witted, brutish cavemen, primitive beings with crude tools, dragging their knuckles through the Ice Age. They were seen as a separate, less evolved species, far removed from Homo sapiens. This image, however, is now being challenged by new research. Neanderthals weren't just survivors of a harsh world, they were intelligent and capable. Evidence shows that they buried their dead, made jewelry, and even painted caves, behaviors once thought exclusive to modern humans. They also raised children, some of whom became ancestors of today's humans. The discovery of the Lapedo child has forced scientists to reconsider the clear divide between Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. With features from both species, this child shows that the line separating us from them may have never truly existed. Instead of a sharp boundary, there was likely a blend of cultures and traits, suggesting that Neanderthals were not merely an evolutionary dead end, but a crucial part of our shared past. This new understanding paints a richer picture of who Neanderthals were and what they contributed to humanity's story. It's easy to forget that species classification is a man-made system, a way to make sense of life's messy spectrum. In nature, however, things don't always fit neatly into defined categories. The lines we draw between species are often arbitrary, created to simplify complex relationships that nature doesn't recognize. For years, the prevailing belief was that Homo sapiens and Neanderthals were entirely separate species, distinct from one another. However, recent discoveries, particularly DNA evidence, have placed this idea under heavy scrutiny. Interbreeding between these two groups suggests that they were more like subspecies, diverging for thousands of years before coming back together and sharing genetic material. The lines we once believed were absolute, those separating Homo sapiens from Neanderthals, are now shown to be blurry, if not entirely false. This new understanding challenges everything we thought we knew about human evolution. It suggests that the boundaries we created were never real. They were simply reflections of our own need for definition in a world that rarely offers such clarity. Instead of clear-cut categories, the history of our species is far messier and more interconnected than we ever imagined. This realization doesn't just shift our understanding of the past, it forces us to rethink what it means to be human. Much of our understanding of prehistoric Europe has come from archaeological work in France, Germany, and Austria. These regions, rich in Ice Age remains, have shaped the narrative of early human history. However, this focus on Central and Northern Europe created a blind spot in our understanding. Southern Europe, especially the Iberian Peninsula, modern Spain and Portugal, remained underexplored for a long time. But now, recent discoveries suggest that this region could hold the key to understanding how Neanderthals and modern humans truly coexisted. Iberia's geography offers crucial insight. With its warmer climate, sheltering mountains, and vast cave systems, it likely served as a refuge for Neanderthal populations long after they had vanished from the northern parts of Europe. Instead of dying out, Neanderthals may have survived in Iberia, coexisting with early humans. While Central Europe witnessed the decline of Neanderthals, Iberia could have been a sanctuary where Neanderthals and Homo sapiens shared space, tools, and possibly genes. This underexplored region may finally help us uncover the full story of Neanderthal survival and the complex relationship they had with our ancestors. We often think of survival as a battle and endless struggle for dominance, a contest where one species wipes out another. Survival in this context is about competition, about who wins and who loses. But what if survival wasn't a war at all? What if it looked more like connection, cooperation, and coexistence? The discovery of the Lapedo child suggests a radically different narrative. This child's existence born of both Homo sapiens and Neanderthal lineage presents a story not of violent replacement, but of two peoples sharing space and resources. They didn't just compete, they lived side by side, using the same tools, learning from each other, and eventually blending their very genes. Instead of a conquest-driven survival, where one species dominates the other, this narrative suggests something far more nuanced. There was curiosity, a desire to understand and connect. Instead of war, perhaps there were quiet whispers, shared moments, and unexpected partnerships. Families were formed, not through domination, but through the subtle bond of mutual survival. This story challenges the conventional view of survival as a brutal competition. It presents a more harmonious vision known, where survival meant adaptation, connection, and shared existence. Perhaps the true story of human survival isn't about who conquered whom, but about who chose to coexist, learn, and ultimately thrive together. Neanderthals live on in more than just bones. Their legacy is woven into the very fabric of our being. They continue to shape our immune systems, influencing how we fight off infections and respond to various diseases. They even affect how we process certain drugs, altering our reactions to medications and treatments. Beyond our immune systems, Neanderthal traits linger in other unexpected ways. For example, their genes may play a role in our risk for diseases like diabetes and depression, conditions that have complex genetic roots. Traits such as thicker hair, stronger bones, and even the way we sleep or process oxygen at high altitudes may all be inherited from our Neanderthal ancestors. The past, it turns out, is not truly past. It is alive within us, hidden beneath our skin and within our DNA. Every breath we take carries the echoes of ancient lungs, reminding us that our connection to the past is not a distant memory, but a part of who we are today. Neanderthals are not just ancient history, they are us. Their genetic imprint shapes the way we live, breathe, and survive in the world today. The Lapedo child is more than just a skeleton. It is a voice that reaches across time, a whisper from 24,500 years ago, carrying a message that transcends the boundaries of its age. This child's existence is a powerful statement saying, "I was both." In a world often obsessed with identity, purity, and division, this child's story challenges our modern understanding of who we are. It reminds us that humanity has always been a mosaic, not a monolith. Throughout history, our ancestors didn't fit neatly into categories of us and them. Instead, they were shaped by connections, blending cultures, genetics, and ways of life. The Lapedo child forces us to reconsider how we define ourselves. Our ancestors were not always confined by the boundaries we impose today. Rather than being defined by division, they were defined by the bridges they built between different peoples, ideas, and ways of living. In this child's hybrid DNA, we see a reflection of our shared past, where survival, connection, and intermingling were the keys to the future. This legacy, far from being forgotten, continues to shape our identity and reminds us of the complexity of human history. With advances in technology, the sequencing of more ancient genomes, and new discoveries in regions previously overlooked, such as Africa and Central Asia, the next decade of research holds the potential to revolutionize our understanding of human origins. We are on the brink of rewriting everything we thought we knew about where we came from. As more ancient remains are uncovered, new insights into our shared history will challenge long-held beliefs and prompt us to question the very foundation of human evolution. But this journey didn't begin with these new breakthroughs. It started here, in the quiet valley of Lapedo, with the discovery of a child buried in red ochre. This child, carefully laid to rest in the shadowed valley, serves as a reminder that the answers we seek have always been there, waiting to be uncovered. The real question is, are we willing to see them for what they truly are? The Lapedo child challenges the story we've been telling ourselves about human evolution. It invites us to reconsider what we thought we knew and to acknowledge that the history of humanity is far more complex than we've imagined. With each new discovery, we are faced with the possibility that the narratives we've built may be incomplete or even wrong. What if, in the end, the story we've told ourselves about our origins is not the whole truth? At Prehistoric Shadows, we believe history is not just the story of the victors, those who rise to prominence and are remembered by time. It is equally the story of the forgotten, the lost, and those whose stories have been blurred or erased. History is not a clean, linear narrative, but a complex web of intertwined lives, cultures, and legacies. The Lapedo child stands as a powerful symbol of this truth. This child is not merely a relic of the past, but a reminder that history rarely offers neat, clear endings. Evolution isn't always about who wins or survives, it's also about who joins, who merges, and how different lines of existence intersect. Neanderthals, once thought to be wiped from the face of the earth, did not simply vanish. They are not lost in the annals of time. They are in your bones, in your blood, in your grandchildren. This is not extinction. It is legacy. The Neanderthals are woven into the very fabric of who we are, shaping us in ways we never fully understood. If this story has moved you, if it has made you reconsider the deep, hidden connections we share with our past, then join us. Subscribe to Prehistoric Shadows to continue exploring the buried truths of our history. Every week, we uncover the overlooked bones, the forgotten stories, and the strange, beautiful mosaic that built our human narrative. We are not alone in our past. We are the sum of many lives, lived, many voices, many struggles, and many triumphs. Subscribe, watch, remember.